Hello, everybody, and welcome and a very Merry Christmas, wherever you might be right around the nation. This is NBL Overtime. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. In fact, you can do it very fast. Get some questions in at NBL, hashtag NBL Overtime, and we'll fire through some before we are done in what has been, unfortunately, again, in what is a sucky time, a disjointed time in the NBL. So much to get into still. Homicide.
What's going on?
Mate, honestly, yes or no? Would I be able to afford that?
Yeah.
I've got to get one. I like that. Hello to you. Thanks. Welcome. Power rankings. We'll get to them a little bit disjointed again. The best broadcaster in the game, Liam Santamaria. Hello to you.
Hello, Cam. You might be able to afford it. You couldn't pull it off, though.
You know
couldn't
what?
wear it.
Challenge accepted.
No, don't do that.
Look forward to that. So much to get into. And unfortunately, Brian Goorjian, that's not unfortunate, he's about to join us. But unfortunately, we're having disruptions. It is a way that, unfortunately, we've become accustomed to in the last couple of years, be it a professional athlete or just an everyday walk of life. And the NBL currently is no different. Postponement again around games, boys. We don't want to spend too much time on it because there's not much we can really say. Adelaide and Perth was meant to be tonight. Unfortunately, it's gone. I'm saying unfortunately way too much, but it sucks. Brisbane and Perth, likewise, Adelaide and South East Melbourne. That's where we sit over the next couple of days in NBL 22.
Yeah, positive case in the Adelaide 36ers camp. That whole team now as close contacts into isolation, and then some extra positive cases as well in Brisbane as well, making things a bit difficult. So shout out to all those afflicted in isolation, doing it tough. Really difficult period for all of that, and we just got to try to work around it.
Well, let's start with a man who is, well, he's basketball royalty. We've loved him for, 3 decades. And if it was even possible, it went to a whole new level after what happened in Tokyo in August. Back for the first time in NBL Overtime from isolation is the head coach of the Illawarra Hawks and the Australian Boomers, Brian Goorjian. Gorge, before we get into everything basketball, mate, how are you handling? How's the health? How are you doing in these last couple of weeks? It's been a tough time.
No, it has been. I'm healthy, fortunate, I don't know how, but maybe I got that booster just prior to us going to Brisbane. But yeah, it's been disappointing, not for the league, for our club, for everybody, but and quite startling, really. We went to Brisbane, came out of that Brisbane game, getting on that plane with a mentality that, we haven't performed well. We have no rhythm. I got a lot of work to do, had a big game with Phoenix coming up, got up in the morning, had a lift. I did early with a couple of the coaches and got a phone call that a couple of the guys were feeling under the weather. So we organized to come to the training facility and get the local rat test, and negative, everybody negative. And then the last guy, a positive. So tested him twice, everybody back to their room, go get a proper test. And to be honest with you, and I can't give numbers, but, a lot's been said. Why don't we do what New Zealand did? The others, our team was decimated. Staff, managers, we could not have come close to fielding 5 guys on the court. And so from that point, it's been everybody locked down in their rooms from Christmas, and then a mindset of how we handle these 8 days, and trying to learn a lot from the NBA. Just, you see what the Greek Freak did when, coming out of 10 days in Milwaukee, and certain guys learning from them and trying to stay all through this. As a league, I think it's important, as a club and a franchise, as a player, to take the high ground on this and try to improve yourself during these hard times.
Gorge, I guess the lucky part about all of this is that you're not a particularly energetic guy. You like to just sit around and take it easy. I mean, are you bouncing off the wall in there?
I'm trying, it's a good question to say. Like this morning, everybody got up and we had a Zoom workout. And then I'm trying to hit each player individually during this time, 2 a day, on their goals, how they see the team, how they see their role. Watching a lot of NBA, as I said, in college basketball, there's the Euro League on KO, and trying to get some in our games, and trying to get something to come back with them that's fresh and helpful to moving forward. And so again, my days are full, and it's very fortunate. I've got a balcony, and I've done this before in Howard Springs. I've done this in Sydney. done this here. And I've got the fresh air and I've got the ocean. And again, trying to learn. And I think it's important for everybody to, we made mistakes on this trip. We did some things that we shouldn't have done that were legal. But I think the sign of ignorance or stupidity is doing the same thing and not learning from our mistakes. So masking, make sure that you don't take any risk. Stay tight. Be careful who you are around on a regular basis. And again, some lessons learned. But like you say, I do have energy, and I'm trying to channel it into something productive.
Coach, I want to switch to on court right now. There's two players that I'm really, really high on your team at the moment, Duop Reith and Xavier Rathan-Mays. What did you see in them to recruit them, and are you pleased with their performance so far in NBL 22?
Yeah, Corey, I'm so excited about my team, and you make, you got a great eye, and those two are the difference makers from this season to last season. Tyler Harvey got worn. Again, I was new in this coming back. I didn't know the league well enough. And when we got to those playoffs down the backstretch, Tyler was just getting buried. And then I watched, I had an opportunity to watch Bryce Cotton and what Trevor was doing there and the role that Mitch Norton played. And I looked and I go, man, I got to get the ball out of Tyler's hands, got to get him stopped being beaten up and have somebody that can facilitate and get the ball to other people. And then we needed, on the second side of this, we needed a stretch four, somebody that could do something off the perimeter and was respected offensively from the perimeter to open up that keyway. Last year with Justin Simon, with Sam Frawling on the perimeter, that lane line was always blocked. So the limitations here right now, to be honest with you, Corey, are mine. I just haven't fully got Xavier comfortable in this. We don't want him as an import. He doesn't have to do what Harvey does. And when Harvey comes out, we don't want him playing like Harvey. We want him as a facilitator and somebody that can pick the ball up the floor and have a tempo that's more than he's used to, as opposed to walking the ball up and running sets. So we're trying to get on the same page, and then, just using Duop because he's so versatile, posting him up at the right time, giving him some opportunity with the floor space. But I'm being on. I've only had 2 practice games. We went into that weekend. We didn't play well against New Zealand. We didn't play well against Brisbane. And the ball and the strength of our team and how we rotate, what guys play together, that's our problem. And this is compounding that. No matter what I do and no matter what road I take, the fact that you're not playing games is restricting my making it more comfortable for those players that you're talking about, Corey.
Goorjian, as well as seeing all those things that you needed from a team perspective, the other thing you saw, and you spoke about it in the lead up to the season, was the COVID impact. And you said, look, this is a reality, it's going to be inevitable, and how teams handle that through the season is going to be a huge defining factor on how they go. Cam mentioned it before, you guys are in isolation, the Bullets are in isolation right now, Adelaide have just jumped into the same situation. What's the path forward from a league-wide perspective, do you think?
Well, I think we've got to, the thing that worries me is the state borders. I have no answer towards that. But I think what was said about us, if we have 2 guys out and they've got COVID, we're all double vaccinated. And I know the symptoms now because we've got double-figure guys. Go to your room and stay in your room until you get a negative test, and let's play. Let's ball. This league's got young guys that can play, that are getting opportunity. The French kid, the Chinese kid, Italian kids. young Aussies that are talented. And you look at the NBA, guys coming out of retirement, guys coming out of the G League, like Tate did from Sydney, like Giddy's doing, opportunity. And we can't close down this thing every time somebody gets COVID. We got to soldier on and move forward. But if you get a certain amount of cases, you're going to, and you can't field a team, you're going to have to postpone those games until the guys get ready. But I just don't see this thing moving forward, not being able to travel, and anybody that gets sick, you close it down.
Hey, Gorge, you be open to playing on Christmas night?
You know what? I'm opening to play right now. I'm opening to play Christmas night, Christmas. It's funny how your mindset, as you sit in the room, how fortunate that we all are that we're involved in this game. And anybody now that would complain, I don't care if we have 3 guys out. I don't care if we have 4 guys out. If we can field a team, if it's 8 o'clock in the morning and it's down on the beach, I'm ready to play. And what it does, it gives you a great appreciation for the game. Sitting there on Christmas Day, watching all those NBA games, just, it's like, I hate not playing. I hate not playing. Love the competition. Love to play on Christmas Day. Love to play on New Year's Day. Can't wait for our next game.
Hey, Gorge, before we do let you go, I'm going to be selfish from my own perspective for one split second. And we mentioned it off the top. And it's the first time I've spoken to you since Tokyo, and first time you've been on NBL Overtime since. Thank you. From a lifelong Australian basketball fan, it was a wonderful moment. We're going to get into our wonderful moments in a moment, but thank you for everything you've done for Australian basketball, and what you did in Tokyo was awesome, mate. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to I came in there at the last stretch. I walked into something that life-changing, unbelievable group, and all the accolades being poured on, Joe and Patty and that team. Honestly, from a guy coming from 13 years prior and walking into that, they deserve it all. Special group, and I'm glad. I know everybody's proud and should be. Great group of guys, and a life-changing experience, and thank you.
Gorge, we wish you a happy new year and some good health, and look forward to you and the crew being on the practice court and the game court ASAP, mate. Thank you.
I give the shirt 10, Corey. 10.
It's hard to argue. It's hard to argue. I'm going to look good in that next week. Brian Goorjian, the GOAT. He was outstanding.
What a legend.
Hashtag NBL Overtime. I'm going to get to your fan questions very shortly, but disjointed, which means not just the season, but also the power rankings, because traditionally I get psyched, but you haven't done them yet. You get it tomorrow.
Yeah, no, roll them out tomorrow. Geez, I thought there was going to be this Perth Adelaide game. We only saw 2 games this week, unfortunately. New Zealand really let me down. I held strong to the Breakers there. I copped all kinds of grief for putting an 0-5 team above a couple of others who had some wins, but they went down to Tassie and they couldn't get it done. Here's some numbers around their defensive struggles. Last in defensive efficiency by a really long way. Tied last in steals, last in blocks per game, giving up 91 points per game, and opponents shooting 48% from the field. Last in defensive effective field goal percentage. They're just not getting it done at the... They've got guys who can score. We've seen that. Hugo Besson, Yanni Wetzel, both top 10 in the league in scoring. Jeremiah Martin can make it happen as well. Finn Delaney, they just can't get stops, and they're winless as a result.
So is it a personnel issue? Is it a COVID struggling to get people on the court issue at different times? Is it the issue of being away from home, as we well and truly know? What do you do here? Is this the wrong team defensively going forward? Do you need to make a change, Homicide? What do you do if you look at those numbers, and they're horrible, unfortunately, in any way you cut them up?
They need to go find Scotty Hobson. That's what they need. Mm-hmm. They don't have one player on that team that can grab the game by the throat and take the game and get the win. They don't have that player. Scotty Hobson is that player, that type. That's what they need to do. Seaver came over here with big hype, did not live up to it, gets injured. They're bringing a new point guard. He just got here. It's not even on him. But defensively, they suck. It's the reality of it. Look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. But if you're not going to play defense, you better have better offense to create. They don't have a player that can just take a game and say, guess what? I don't care if I'm home. I don't care if I'm on the road. We're winning. They don't have that.
Scotty Hobson is an import. Here's the question from Hayden at NZ. Hayden, if you're in charge of the Breakers, what are you doing to turn the season around? So you say what you do is you bring in Scotty Hobson. Well, Scotty Hobson's an import. Right now they've got 3 or 4 imports really signed. Hugo Besson, Jeremiah Martin, and they've got Chasen Randall in place of Peyton Seaver. You can't add Scotty Hobson without removing one of those guys from the...
Any of those players can create and take a game and win a game?
Well, they hope that Chasen Randall's going to be... Yeah. I think as a collective that they need to get some defense played. But you're saying one of those guys has to go.
What I'm saying is the type of player that they need. What they have ain't working. So whatever with that. Whatever they got, it ain't working.
You
0-6.
You got to play some defense to win in this league. And if you're going to play almost the whole year, probably the whole year on the road, that goes to a whole nother level. You hear Scott Roth talk about it with the Jack Jumpers. That team doesn't have talent like the other teams around the league have, but they've won a couple of games. They've won a couple. Now, both those games have been on their home floor. The Breakers don't have that opportunity. But they've done it because they've defended. And as a result, they've been competitive in almost every one of those games. If you're giving up 90 points per game, you're putting pressure on your offense to say, we've got to score in the 90s every game to be a chance to win. That's not going to work. You hear Scott Roth talk about how we've got to make sure our defense is what travels with you. You're going to have off shooting nights from time to time. But if you can keep teams into the 70s and the 80s, you give yourself a fighter's chance. That has to be the focus for the Breakers.
You bumping up Melbourne? Melbourne aren't happy. Fans are not happy that you continue to disrespect them.
Oh, disrespect.
Well, that was the meme last week, wasn't it? Little Michael Jordan superimposed in the United logo. But this man was great. Were we wrong about him? Or is he just in a better situation now that CG's back?
25 minutes played, 10 of 18, 24 points. I'm not even a plus-minus guy, but his efficiency was a 38. 14 rebounds, 4 steals. You know, that's just the presence of CG being in that extra offensive weapon on the perimeter. It opens things up, and he's doing his thing. Shout out to Caleb. He is balling.
That's a great point you make about CG coming in and the difference that makes for Caleb Agada. We said that coming into his return, that what it's going to do to that whole team. But you're right. He's had 3 straight 20-plus point scoring games now, Agada, at over 50% from the field. And then you can see when he's scoring and he's feeling good, the impact he can have all over the rest of the floor. His activity was outstanding. And you're right, a lot of that is Chris being in there, him starting to feel a little bit more comfortable, and the mix of the team being what it was supposed to be. And right now, they are not a team you want to be playing.
We spoke about this last week, and the fact is that he came off the bench early, didn't seem to really fit in the rhythm. You're just starting your NBL season or your career as well. He had to come off the bench, that little power punch. He started that second half. I'm saying the same thing I said last week in Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. Looked a lot better. Again, defensively looks better than I thought I gave him credit for coming into the league. When you got CG and Daly on the floor, everything's a lot easier as well, I assume. But he's been good. He was incredible on Sunday.
And coming out of the preseason, and we had a conversation. You said they need to make a change, and we said, well, is it adding someone or replacing someone? This team can win the title.
Yeah, no doubt.
With one import on the roster, this team, as currently constructed, can win the title because they defend at an incredible level, and they've got guys, as you say, who can break things open at the offensive end in Chris Gold and Caleb Agada. And they've got real workhorse role players as well who are operating at a high level. They can win the title as they're currently constructed.
We kind of alluded to this 6 weeks ago, maybe a month ago prior to the season, that maybe the Matthew Dellavedova signing hadn't reached the heights that it would have 2 or 3 years ago, and that's a credit to the league. I feel we're underrated in the start of his year. He's had an outstanding start to the season. His ability to make life easier for every single Melbourne United player. Defensively, he's been brilliant. You know, the Sydney game, the Phoenix game, he had to probably go more into a scoring role without Chris Golding and some other issues they were having, and that's not necessarily the strong point of his game. Matthew Dellavedova's start to the year has been outstanding.
No, that's fair. It's no real surprise that they're defending like they are with him at the helm, and that these guys offensively are getting the ball in the right positions, they're getting comfortable, they're getting their looks. He's playing well.
All right, Sanders been watching in all senses of the word. our Santa as well. All thanks to Amy. Let's get into it, Liam Santa Maria.
Well, there's not a lot to play with because it's only been a couple of games. But Jarrell Martin in Sydney, he just had a little trouble finding the range.
Oh, my goodness.
The free throw line. Even the opposing coach was disappointed.
Oh, my goodness.
Corey, what do you think about that?
I mean, 'tis the season, so.
No, I like that.
He wasn't
It's
too
the
confident,
season.
just quietly. You see he's looking
It's
up
the
like,
season, man.
If you're going to wear it, you got to rock it. What happens here?
Well, Chris Golding has no idea how to wear headphones, strangely enough. He's been on the planet for 30 plus years.
On your ears, CG.
Put them on your ears, big fella.
What comes? Oh, this is where you hear the sound from. Oh, I gotcha. I know. Geez, he's been great, hasn't he, since he come back? All thanks to Amy. That is Sanders watching. We threw it out to you in the last couple of days. Hashtag NBL Overtime to ask us some fan questions. Let's get into it. And I think we might start with the Sydney Kings. Injuries. Injuries. Is it more than a concern? There's Frenchie, our man. They seem to be the team most forward-thinking with injury management, load management, but struggle to stay healthy. It's been an ongoing conversation. It's the Harbour Bridge curse? Are we going to go that far? So, because right now they've got two imports who look like, from all reports, might be out for at least another fortnight, maybe even more. It's tough after everything from last year.
I know. It's Chris Pongrass feels like he's probably cursed. It's the last 2 seasons since he's been around, and you're right. I mean, they are the load management team. They are the kind of minutes restriction team, and they're trying to be ahead of the curve in that regard. And a lot of that is about injury prevention, and yet constantly struggling to have their guys on the floor. And right now, it's a huge issue. I mean, them with Jalen Adams, RJ Hunter will help. Jalen Adams is going to be the man on this team when he gets going. Xavier Cooks and Jarrell Martin having to carry a really heavy load. Other guys are playing hard and playing well. Angus Glover, Bawali Bales. Hopefully he's okay, but they really need Jalen Adams back on the court.
Well, what are you hearing?
I think their next game, because they've had the New Year's Eve game postponed. I think their next game, I think January 7, January 8, I think he should be out there.
All right, next question up. And this is an interesting one. It's one that's been raised a little bit as the league gets bigger and better. Old Chad says, and I'll go to you, Homicide, should we have a trade period in the NBL?
That would be awesome.
Would it work, though?
I think it would. We should have an all-star game, too.
No, I don't. Oh, mate, this is 3
Bring
years
it all.
after.
We need all of those things. I'm with you.
Game.
Chain nets, too.
Yeah. Bang. Do you think it would work? Like, from it, like...
No.
Nah, the salaries aren't enough.
Correct.
To be able to ring someone and go... And a couple of tweets yesterday were talking about, say, Emmett Nah, who probably isn't getting the call time that a lot of people thought he might a year or so ago. Hey, Emmett, you've been traded to the Perth Wildcats. Like, there's not. I have no idea what Emmett's on, but I highly doubt it's enough to be able to relocate everything in a 2-day period to get across the West and all the rest.
Yeah, you look around
It's a
the
cool
league.
idea, though.
It is. You
Good
can look
idea.
around
Yeah.
and you can see guys like Emmett Nah not getting on the floor. You look at a guy like Nikita Mikhailovsky, who hasn't played a single minute, the Russian next star down there in Tassie, and you go, well, maybe a guy like that could use a bit of a change of scenery. He's in the doghouse.
Yeah. Okay. Next. Let's get into this because I like this question. We've seen Trevor Gleeson, of course, end up in the NBA after being dominant for the Perth Wildcats. Now, this is a head coach question from Ando, Chris Anderson. Boys, 1 nomination each.
Vickerman and Goorjian. I'm going with 2.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Those guys are proven and have been consistent.
Yep.
For sure. All right, well, seeing you've taken them off the board, let me throw Scott Morrison out there as well. Straight out of the front row of that Boston Celtics bench, and he's going to have success there in Perth. We might see him back there.
Easiest question we have got, the easiest answer, because the answer is myself, is this one. Who would be the first of you 3 to get to the call from an NBA team for a 10-day? Stowie? I think it'd be me.
Come on, man.
With my heart and hustle.
Have you been training to look good naked?
I've
Like that man here?
never looked
Did you
good
do
naked.
28 straight days?
Of what? Drinking?
I tell you though, the way things are going, we all
I'm going
might
to
be a
say,
bit
since
of a look
Homicide was kind of on the NBA radar once, I'm going to nominate him. But you do have an NBA contact now with Jamal Mosley, so maybe you can lean on that.
We might all get a look in. Speaking of guys getting a look in, shout out Kiefer Sykes.
Yes.
Straight out of the NBL last season. He's been all over in terms of his journey. Impressed with Indiana at the Summer League. Done some work with the Mad Ants, and now he's going to get his shot. And he called his mum to tell him he got it. He's finally got it. He's going to play an NBA game. And she started screaming, and he said, whoa, don't scream. I've got to pass the COVID test.
Should we, the NBL, or should teams in the NBL be a slight bit nervous? We might see 1 or 2 get called up from this season? Because they're reaching. I don't know what the quarantine situation is. If you have to go to the US, is it 5 days, negative tests, and all the rest of it around the NBA? But I'd be surprised if there's not at least a phone call or two from NBA GM saying, "Hey, what's such and such doing?" Or Justin Jessup. Like, he's a player, like the Warriors, he's already, I don't know. It'll be disappointing for us, but they're right on the periphery. All right, just based on that, Tate, Landale, big shout out to Jock, who's been brilliant the last couple of games. Who's going to the next one, guys? Homicide?
I got a nice list.
Oh, here we go.
And I had this list from a week ago.
Okay.
Fire away.
Do-Up Reith, Joe Chi, Mitch Creek, Vic Law, Besson, obviously, Rob Franks. Any one of those can go right now and play in the league.
Like it. The next star's kind of an obvious answer, right? Because, and including Hugo Besson, the guys at Hook Porty. Dieng's struggling big time, but he's got physical tools and great potential. But in terms of like the veterans, I feel like Vic Law is probably going to be the next guy.
Vic Law.
Yeah. Leading the league in scoring, 24 a game.
He ain't playing no games.
Nah. And you know what I like about Vic Law? 6'7", but can easily play the 2 and the 3 at the NBA level. Here he plays 4, sometimes undersized 5. He's so versatile.
He ain't playing no games, man. And he is locking up. He's locking up. I rock with him.
Ooh. Now, you had Adelaide in your top 4 right before the season. Well, it might have been after the first week. No, it was right before the season. NBL Pocket Podcast. Joey and the boys. We've got a new top 4. Have you got a new top 4?
Adelaide's out, man. Adelaide's out. I got my 3 still. Illa, both Melbourne teams.
Yep.
And the 4th is going to be between Brisbane or Perth.
You're softening on the Wildcats, obviously. You didn't even want them in the conversation earlier, but I like it. And Brisbane have been great.
Vic Law, man. Vic Law.
Don't argue with me. I got them in. What do you got, Liam? You changed?
No, I haven't changed. I haven't changed since those early ones. Melbourne.
Way too early.
Melbourne, Perth, Southeast Melbourne, and Illawarra.
Okay.
What is? You got the Hawks. Giving the Hawks a little.
New pajamas. Maybe it's the fact Gorge was on, but it is probably more so the injury concerns from Sydney. I had Sydney winning the whole thing. Jarrell Martin being the MVP, but if they can't get the crew together, it makes it so much tougher. So I'm going to slide Illawarra in and Sydney in the wildcard game. Hey, it's been a big 2021. Let's go back through our favourite moments. Who wants to start?
Creek's dunk.
Oh, is that yours?
That's all I got.
Okay, well, show it again. I think everyone wants to see it outside of Matthew Dellavedova, but he doesn't even give a crap, so let's fire it. We don't have it. Okay, cool. So what is your favourite moment? Was that it?
Hello.
Oh, come on. Oh, okay.
Hello.
I thought we were going to have it. My apologies. Liam, have we got yours?
Yeah, hopefully, because I think I speak for everybody in the country.
Yep.
When I give my favourite moment of 2021. The
Yeah.
bronze medal.
Yeah.
The bronze medal from the Boomers. We spoke to Goorjian a little bit about it before. All the blood, sweat and tears that have been shed by all the Boomers over the journey and all the people watching on from home on those late nights and all the close calls. And then to watch Paddy put 42 on the board against Luca in that bronze medal game, that was my favourite moment.
This is what happens when you go to the cricket, like I did all day yesterday and missed the NBL Overtime production meeting.
Okay.
We aren't got vision. We're just talking about these wonderful moments. So
Yes.
I do apologise, Homicide, for thinking it was going to come. Mine was, right?
I went to the Ashes.
Yesterday or Monday? You went on Sunday. You went day 1, right? I went day 2.
I really
You're a cricket man
enjoyed
now,
it.
aren't you?
Yo,
I did see you
it was
filming
so
the
cool.
impromptu game.
Man, that was so cool. Look, you want to see
Have you swung a cricket bat
Aussie
before?
culture? Go to the Ashes. You see every type of Aussie, all types.
Have you swung?
You don't
a
even
cricket bat?
watch any cricket.
No, you don't have to.
Have
It
you
was
swung-
so cool, man. I really
Have you
enjoyed
swung a
it.
cricket bat?
To kill cane toads in Townsville.
Okay, there you go. We've seen you swing a golf.
Yeah, well, you swing a cricket bat better than you swing a golf.
You know what my moment was, selfishly? I was privileged enough to be there at Southeast Melbourne, Melbourne United Game 3 in Sydney. There's only about 300 people in the joint. I love Kudos Bank Arena. It feels like an NBA joint, but it was eerie to be there and to see that game. And it set up Southeast Melbourne, I think. That's a driving force to them going to the next level. They had the big lead. You had Golding and Creek going at each other. It was cool.
Big game.
For me, and what was a big year, it was one of the memories. But there you go. We are done. We're done for 2021, and we're back in 7 weeks' time. 7 weeks or 7 days?
7 days.
Man, it's been a big 7 days. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. There are 3 things I wanted to get to, but I'll save them for next week. Do you reckon I can hit the camera, Homicide? What do you reckon?
I got you. You got it. You
Ready?
good.
No chance.
Got him! See ya.
Happy New Year.
Peace.